Hello, and welcome to the Module 13 commentary video, RIM Program Training and Marketing for LIS 886. As I prepare to train you on how to train, please take a moment to adjust your video and sound settings. If you encounter any difficulty viewing this video, please contact me as soon as possible. Prior to viewing this commentary, please read pages 175 to 191 in the Conn-Blair text. Also, please read the handout on Canvas called A Best Practice Approach to Learning Compliance Management by Jordan Ambrose. Additionally, please read the handout on Canvas called Enterprise-Wide Records Training, Key to Compliance Success by Nikki Schwartz. Directions on where to locate the handout will be available in your Module 13 to-do list, which is also posted on Canvas. All right, there are a few things in this world that I could get more and more excited about than training and development. Okay, maybe projects, but I really love training too. In all seriousness, an organization can have the most robust electronic records management system, the best records retention schedule, and total support from strategic leaders, only to watch the whole program crumble due to inadequate training and marketing. Over the next 20 minutes, I will expose you to the foundations of training, development, and marketing. As an intelligent, budding library science professional, it will then be your task to fuse together the commentary, the readings, your personal experience, your gut instincts, and any other available tools to create robust training and marketing programs. So, with that tall order in mind, let's begin. It probably comes as a real shocker at this point, but I'd like to begin this commentary with a definition and a little theory. Training refers to a planned effort by an organization to facilitate employees' learning of job-related competencies. These competencies include knowledge, skills, or behavior that are critical for successful job performance. The goal of training is for employees to master the knowledge, skills, and behaviors emphasized in training programs and then apply them to their day-to-day activities. As you can see, Bortz pioneered the module of training transfer, which moves employees from the present to learning objectives outlined in the training session. Though two transformative phases are available, the employee learns the content and then applies it. Sounds like real rocket science, eh? As basic as it sounds, I'm befuddled by how many training programs are out there that simply just have talking heads in front of a PowerPoint with no true test of knowledge. Please, whatever you do, do not be that person. In yet another theory, Kirkpatrick, known around the training and development circle as the father of training, described 4 levels of evaluating the success of a training program. Reaction, or the base of the pyramid, measures how those who participate in training programs react to the session. This is also known as customer satisfaction. Examples of reaction evaluation include post-workshop evaluations and other such items. In the RIM space, this would be checking to see how the learner liked or reacted to the session. Those evaluations that you give them are sometimes called smile sheets because you want them to be happy when they fill them out. Learning, which is the next level, is the extent to which the participants change attitudes, improve knowledge, and/or increase skills as a result of attending your training session. In the RIM space, this might be the participant telling a coworker about the records retention schedule and why the organization has it. The next level, behavior, is the extent to which the change in behavior has occurred because the participant attended the training session. In the RIM space, this might be an office employee filling out a records disposal certificate and providing it to the RIM department. This behavior would only occur because the employee learned about it from the training session. The apex of the pyramid, results, is a final outcome that occurred because the participants attended the program. The final result can include increased productivity, improved quality, an increase in the numbers of disposal certificates received, and so on. The problem is most times training programs fail to record the outcomes beyond reaction, if they even evaluate their programs at all. Think about it. How can you know if a training program was even worth your time if you fail to evaluate and see it all the way through? Let's pause for a moment to discuss an often overlooked but vital element of training and development, the learning objective. Any reputable training program contains a set of statements called learning objectives. Defined, a learning objective is the purpose and expected outcome of training activities. In order to adequately measure the movement through Kirkpatrick stages, the trainer must match actual performance to learning objectives. In the RIM space, you might choose to create a training module on disposing of old records. Your learning objectives might include items such as employees will be able to locate and find records within the records retention schedule. Employees will know the various steps involved in disposing a record. At the core, you need to sit down and decide what learners will need to demonstrate after taking your training class. If the learner cannot perform the functions, you need to determine if the training program is at fault or is it the employee. Again, unless you test them, how will you know if they actually learned something? Often I will sit in RIM training sessions and start to cringe. This typically happens because the presenter has the audacity to lecture in front of the group for an entire hour using only PowerPoint and then sets the captives free. Sit and ponder for a second. When was the last time you actually retained any knowledge on a topic without actually doing something with it? Dugan Laird, in his epic training book, Approaches to Training and Development, outlines for us 100 different training techniques which trainers can use to keep a session alive and kicking. As you can see on the screen, these 7 approaches are just but a few of the possibilities for use in the RIM space. If you're training on an electronic records management system, for example, how about setting up a test system, which is sometimes known as a sandbox by the IT folk, and let the participants actually perform a records conversion? Or if you're teaching participants on how to use the records retention schedule, get them together in groups, hand them a stack of records, and then let them identify what stays, what goes, and when it goes. Then get a prize for the most accurate group. Even though these examples aren't uber creative, you get the idea. For the love of all things sacred, please never just sit there and lecture for an hour without actually making the participants do something in the training session. Okay, so you've decided the organization needs to have new employees trained on the records retention schedule and how to use it. You've also created a robust set of learning objectives, a killer training session, and everyone really seemed to understand the content. Now what? To make sure the training had impact, you must now evaluate the employees. Whether this is a formal test or some other metric, you must compare learning objectives to their actual performance. On the screen, I provided a rubric for a training module that I created many years ago. This training module was on the basics of Microsoft Word. In order to ensure that my students understood the content, I prepared a brief exam for them to demonstrate competency. Then I was able to check off proficient or not proficient for each learning objective. According to my testing standards, I could prove the person actually understood and applied the content. Again, if you don't test or evaluate, how do you know the training stuck? There are different ways to measure learning outcomes, so you're going to have to be creative, but just know you're going to need to test these outcomes to know that the behaviors are actually changing. One of the hardest challenges facing training and development is the lack of funding. Oftentimes, training and development is seen as a cost rather than a revenue stream. And, as you know, organizations like to cut costs and maximize on revenue streams. As such, you might be asked to deploy a training module online using technology rather than in person. As such, you might become intimately familiar with several popular software packages that are out on the market and used for training. When it comes to creating online training modules, you can't go wrong with Adobe Captivate or Camtasia Studios. Both programs allow you to record audio, video, create interactive quizzes, and do a whole slew of other things with the online software. You may also want to use Microsoft PowerPoint or perhaps Prezi to present your presentations. Snagit is another great program for grabbing screenshots. While the snipping tool in Windows is nice, Snagit allows you to do so much more in terms of being able to call out things on graphics, highlight items, and so on. Finally, you may need to deliver training programs over video conferencing software. If so, you may want to use a demo software like WebEx or perhaps maybe even GoToMeetings. When it comes to evaluations, you may want to try SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics. Just know you have a ton of options, so don't be afraid to explore and use the one which best suits your program. If you've ignored me for the last 7 minutes, let me recap everything for you in 4 bite-sized recommendations. Make good learning objectives. Don't bore people to death. Use technology where necessary, and be sure to evaluate so you have a clue if attendees got anything out of your training. Beyond those 4 key elements, training is an art form. So, with that said, be creative, be happy, be campy, and have a good time with it. Let us shift for a moment here. Another good way to get your RIM program integrated with the masses in your organization is through marketing. Let us take a few brief moments to discuss the great ways to promote your RIM program in hopes that you will become a go-to department for customer service and policy compliance. Just like learning objectives are the core of training and development programs, the 4 Ps are the cornerstone of the marketing discipline. Now, you might not immediately think RIM is something to be sold, but it really does fall into that category. Just go with me on this. While RIM is not a product per se, you are selling a service. Even if you have the strong arm of compliance law on your side, you will still have to get people to cooperate with you. So, think of the records retention schedule, voluntary trainings, shredding bin contracts, your electronic records management system, and all other items RIM as services which you need to sell to your internal program units. So, let us examine these 4 Ps, shall we? When it comes to product, ask yourself what products or services are available in the RIM space and will have the employees be able to take part of. For place, ask yourself, where will the items be available? Through your office? Through somewhere else? For training, perhaps this is online and it's in person. For the price pillar, how much will the items cost? Does your organization charge back to program units for scanners, shred bins, and things like that? Are the prices competitive? And for promotion, how will the target audience be reached? Social media, websites, word of mouth. These are all things you have to consider because if you don't market your RIM area, people will likely ignore you and not know that you exist. One of the key things your RIM department will need in the marketing space is an effective website. To be honest, I'm lukewarm about my department's website as you can see on the screen, so let's take a moment to critique it. Our program unit has found success in easily accessing other people and letting them see our records retention schedule and the basic information about our department. Unfortunately, our homepage isn't all that appealing and some important items can be a bit hard to find. Alas, we get the basic point across to our program units and hopefully our university will help us upgrade our site soon. So be sure you have an easy to read, clean web presence and that you drive folks to it for information. Social media. It's here to stay. While I'm not going to spend any great amount of time on this topic, use the best platforms to market your program presence. Make Facebook contests. Tweet out "Did you know" reminders. Take Instagram photos of major record cleanups, and so on. Again, use the appropriate social media stream that will benefit your target audience and your program. Newsletters are another effective means to disseminate information to program units. Now, you may select to use WordPress or some other source to publish and share information. Or you may choose to use email campaign management systems. MailChimp, one of my personal favorites, is free and easy to use. If you've never used it before, poke around on the site and see what you think. You may also want to use something like Constant Contact, which is a paid service to deliver emails to program units. Regardless, make sure your contact with your program units is succinct, easy to read, and delivered in a way that will not annoy or alienate people. This concludes the Module 13 commentary, RIM Program Training and Marketing. If you have any questions or would like more information on elements of the commentary, please do not hesitate. I want you to contact me. Please do not hesitate to contact me directly as soon as possible. Have a great week.